So, if you could introduce yourself and maybe talk to me about your roles in Newsdays and explain what Newsdays are essentially.
I'm Zara Connolly. I'm a third year student studying broadcast journalism. With Newsdays, you get a ton of different roles you can decide. In second year, you are in little groups and you decide your own roles, anything from a producer for TV, editor for radio, all the way to like just a news reporter, sports reporter, presenter. And then for third year, you can even be a bulletins editor or VT editor, or it can be a bit more complicated and you can actually be merged into the multimedia side and be an infographics editor. So it's quite a lot of roles to do.
So, what would you say is your most used role, I suppose? What do you do the most? What's your favourite role to do?
The role I do the most is either a producer or an editor role. It's not my favourite. My favourite is presenting. However, sometimes you just got to take one for the team and you got to get it done. Like for instance, during the second year's Newsdays, when we were all deciding on what our roles were, I always waited till last to see what role was left. And for the first 6 weeks of our Newsdays, people weren't keen on the producing role, so I was producing for 6 weeks straight, which is very difficult, trust me. But it was good because you kind of need those learning curves to kind of teach you a lot and to also make you a well-rounded journalist, and that helps a lot when you are making packages, because if you are a producer, if you're an editor, you know what's going to be used in the actual rundown of the show, whereas if you're just a journalist, you and if you're just a reporter, you don't essentially think about if your story could be cut. So it's about getting your story and making sure that the producer's just got to go, no, we've got to have it no matter what.
So, what kind of benefits have you found from working on Newsdays that you could apply to maybe a future career in the industry?
One thing is that Newsdays are just completely industry standard. You can take these skills and go into ITV or BBC, hands down, like Channel 4, Channel 5, all those types of places, because what happens is when you do go into these industry standard places like BBC or ITV, they're completely shocked because they don't expect you to have all these skills that they expect from an undergraduate, and the fact that you haven't even completed your course but you know how to edit on Avid, and you know how to use iNews and you can use a studio, that shocks them. So they'll trust you, and trust is a massive thing in the industry. So that's one thing to kind of take note and to just go and kind of just like go with the Newsdays and just hope for the best.
What kind of different opportunities would you say you've been given due to Newsdays, and even if it's just the experience that you've got?
Opportunities I'd been given, it was probably jobs, to be honest, because it ended up that even just after first year and stuff, I put a lot into Keys News, which is what is essentially what Newsdays is, apart from a bit more intense. And then I got to go to BBC Sport, which is really cool, to work on the Olympics.